Hi there, Blaze here, and in today's tutorial I'm gonna show you how to create healing system for our existing health system we created in the last tutorials. So if you don't watch the previous tutorials, be sure to check videos on my channel because we're gonna base on the project from previous tutorials. You can download entire project from the link in the description also. Okay, let's begin. Let's start with creating new folder in the components folder, and let's name it health-regeneration. Let's create new scene. Let's type the name health regeneration, and let's select node as a base. Now let's create a script for this. Let's add timer as a child of this health regeneration. Let's set wait time to 1 second, and one shot and auto start should be set to off. Now let's create variable called timer. This will be the timer from our tree, so we can set it to the timer with onReady attribute. We will use health changed signal emitted by the health component. So let's back to the health regeneration, and we need to export variable health of type health, and the health here will be the health component we want to observe and from which signal will be taken. So in the ready function we need to connect health changed signal to function in our health regeneration, but let's create this function first, and let's call it start regeneration. We will return void, of course. Let's start with pass. I will complete this body later. Now let's connect this, and the same for max health changed, because when the max health changed we also want to check if the regeneration need to be proceed. Okay, I forgot connect here, so max health changed that connect, and next the function name. And then in the start generation we need to check if current health in our health component is less than the max health value from our health component. If this statement is true, we need to start the timer. If this statement is false, we need to stop the timer, of course. Now let's create a function for real regenerating logic. So let's call it regen health. Of course we need to return void. Now let's create new variable regeneration per we can call this second, but because we can set another time in our timer, let's call it regeneration per unit in int. And this is because our health system health points are based on ints. If you use floats, you can use floats here also. Now in the regen health we need to increase health variable in health component bar this regeneration per unit. So as you can see, we increase 1 health point every second. You can adjust your time in the timer or adjust the regeneration points in regeneration per unit variable. At the end we need to set timeout signal connect to the regen health. We did this in the ready function. We will call this regen function. Now we need to go to the player, add health regeneration scene to the player, and set the health variable in the inspector. I forgot one thing, because health change signal and max health change signal use a difference argument, and we need to add this difference argument of type int to our start regeneration function, even if we will not use it in this function. Now, when you hit some enemies, you will see that your health is decreasing, and after 1 second it is increasing, but the values here are too big. So let's change this health so you can better see the difference. Let's set the max health in the player to 50, and in the enemy let's set hitbox damage to the 10, you will see that more of this is decreased, and now with the time you will see that the health bar is slowly regenerating, and that means that we implemented health regeneration by time. But there is one thing I don't like about this, because as you can see we need to add a scene of health regeneration and we cannot add this as a new node. So it isn't really a component, and I want to change this so we will be able to create health regeneration node using a new node instead of instantiating a packet scene. So let's start with deleting this health regeneration from player. And let's also delete the health regeneration scene, but we need to save this first. Now delete. Let's move this script to the components and remove the folder. Let's set the class name to health regeneration so it will be available in the global scope. And the problem is the timer. We cannot set the timer in onReady because we also don't have any timer because it is not instantiated because this is a single node. Let's remove onReady and the initialization. Instead of this, we want to create a new timer. In this timer variable, we want to set the wait time to 1 second. You can also use another values if you want. We need to set one shot to the false because we want this timer to be able to repeat, so the health regeneration will loop and not only regenerate one part of the health. And at the end, we need to add this timer as a child of this health regeneration. So let's write add-child and add this timer. Let's start this. Okay, health regeneration scene is not saved. This is it. Don't save. And another thing, we need to add this health regeneration to the player. So now when you write the health regeneration, you will find this node here and you can create it. Let's move this a little higher and let's assign the health, of course. Now let's play the game. And as you can see, it is still working. And it's work as a component. We don't need to instantiate packet scene inside the player or another nodes. And if you check the remote gameplay player health regeneration, you will see that timer is here, but instead of setting it as a separated scene, we just instantiated this timer and added it as a child to the health regeneration node. I find it work better because this work really as a component right now, but you can use the first method or the second, just do what is more suitable for your project. Okay, and there's actually one more thing I want to show in this tutorial, and this will be creating the item or the object on the scene which will heal our health when we collide with it. So let's create a new script in the components folder and let's name it healer. And let's also create a new folder in the root resource folder and let's call it heal item. And I will import the sprite. This is just a small heart. I will use this as a placeholder to place it on the scene. Let's create a scene for this health item. Okay, let's now switch to the healer script. It will extend area 2D because we will be able to interact with it. Let's name this, let's add a class name healer. And let's create an exported variable heal of type int. And here we can specify how many health points should be healed, should be regenerated. Let's create a ready function. We will return void from this. And let's connect signal area entered to the function, and we will create in the next step. Let's call it on area entered. Let's copy this and create a function on area entered. Let's return void. This is the same as in the hardbox script, really similar. We also need to specify the argument. Let's name this player of type player because I want to check collisions with the player only. Let's check if player is not null. And now we need to assess the health of the player. But because health is a child, we need to specify a variable in the player script. The variable will be called health of type health. And we will assign it to the health component in the onReady. But this is less safe. More safe option is to create an exported variable of type health and then set the reference in the inspector. But this tutorial can be simplified, so I will use the onReady. Now we can assess the player's health by assessing the player.health. And now we want to assess the health variable inside this health component. I should call this HP, not health, because now we have health, and this can be a little confusing sometimes. Okay, let's create a sprite in the health item scene. Let's import this texture, and as you can see, we have a sprite of the heart. I also want to change the type of the root to the healer, newly created healer, and as you can see we have a warning that we need to have a collision shape here. So let's add also collision shape and let's create new rectangle shape and let's adjust the size of this shape to the sprite. Okay. Now we need to set the collision layer and collision mask, and I want to set it to the same layer as the player root layer. So if the player root is on the first layer, we need to set heal item to the mask 1 also. Be sure to check if you set this mask properly. There's actually one more thing. I have a problem here because I connected this to the area entered signal. But as you can see, area has also body entered signal, and we need to connect this function to the body entered because player is of type character body 2D. So we need to use body, not area. Now when you play the game and collide with this heart, you will see that your health bar is fully regenerated. The problem is that this item is not disappearing after collide with the player, but we can do this easily just by calling Q3 function when the collide occurs. And now when we hit this, we regenerate our health and this health item is disappearing. Okay, and that's probably all. I hope you will find this tutorial useful. Remember that you can download the entire project from the link in the description. Let me know if you like this video, and you can also submit some ideas to the next tutorials in the comment section. See you soon, bye!